Derek in the UK, you're live with Eric and V. What would you like to talk about?
It's nice to talk to you, by the way. I've been watching you for months, and
good.
It's really good too. But you're very articulated, you two, and my oratory skills are terrible, so you'll have to bear with me.
You're good.
No worries, you're good.
What's up?
I'm a bit nervous too, because this is the first time I've gone public. But anyway, the question is, ghosts are real, and that is why I'm an atheist. It sounds counterproductive, doesn't it?
Well, not necessarily. Actually, it doesn't sound counterproductive. Earlier on in this episode, we talked about how there's a difference between atheism and skepticism. Do you think that you're a skeptic?
I'm an atheist.
Okay.
I'm a skeptic. Same thing.
Actually, very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, those things are very different. There are a lot of people who are atheists who believe all kinds of non-skeptical things, a lot of different, crystal healing. There are a lot of atheists who live in Sonoma who think that they can, meditate themselves into other planes of existence. And all of those chakra things, those can be taken on by atheists.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we'll get down to the ghost story, because I know you haven't got much time. Let me tell you what happened. I'm 87 years old, and this happened in 1966. My wife and I had retired to bed. My two sons, which were aged 4 and 6, were in the back bedroom, fast asleep. Their door was left ajar, and our bedroom door was left ajar, so that we could hear them if they were disturbed in the night. Mm-hmm. My wife and I got into bed and were just about to turn the light off when we heard my children get out of bed and start making their way towards our bedroom. They came across the landing, and in playful mood, my wife and I covered our heads with the sheet.
Okay, Derek, just want to make sure that we're putting this in a nutshell. That way, we can still engage with you. Go ahead.
Did you hear all that?
We did. So you're trying to give us a ghost story, right?
Yes, it's a real ghost story.
Okay, I believe that you believe that.
I don't think it was any. Sorry?
I believe that you believe that. So you think that ghosts exist, is that correct?
No, you haven't let me finish. Let me finish, and then you'll understand where I'm coming from.
Well, even if I believe that everything you say you are completely convinced of, right? Even if I granted you anything in your story that has to do with ghosts that you are fully convinced of it, here's my problem. My problem is that memory can be funky, especially when it's something as far long off as what you had. Did you know that more people have reported going to Woodstock than went? Like, there are way more people who say I've been to Woodstock than the entire amount of people who went, right? And I don't think they're lying. I think that that's just how memory works. So I guess the question is, I want to know, Derek, how did you understand what a ghost is? What is a ghost? How can I find a ghost? What do they act like? What are they made of?
I don't believe ghosts exist, Eric.
It says ghosts are real.
Okay,
let me go ahead.
What I was saying, and you might. Sorry?
Go ahead.
Just let me finish the ghost story, and then you'll understand. My children, we heard our children getting out of bed, making their way into our bedroom. Yeah. So, in playful mood, my wife and I, both of us, put the sheet over our heads in playful mood and waited for them to come into our room. They came into our room and stood by the side of our bed. We could hear them making the noises that children make. I nodded to my wife because we could see each other under the sheet.
Yeah, get on with it, please.
The sheet away from our... Sorry?
Okay. It's okay, get on with it.
We pulled the sheet away from our face and there was no one in the room. Now, we both experienced that. But they weren't ghosts, they were my children. My children weren't dead. If we hadn't heard them getting out of bed, we might have been thinking they were ghosts. Do you understand?
Okay. Yeah. I do. And that is okay. So just to be clear, the point of your story is that you could convince yourself that you experienced something that does not correlate with reality.
But my wife and I both experienced it together.
Okay, that's okay. That happens.
Would we both? Sorry?
No, so there are a ton of possible explanations. Here's the thing. A lot of people don't understand in skepticism when we say, well, here's another possible explanation. That doesn't mean I'm trying to tell you I went into the past and I'm telling you what happened. What I'm saying is here are other possible explanations for what you experienced, and want to know, how did you rule out all the other possibilities and come to X conclusion?
Yeah.
Right. And so when you say you and your wife both experienced a thing, perfect. I'm sure you can come up with several possibilities that could explain it other than ghosts. And so
no, let me explain what I thought logic dictated a connection, because both my children were asleep at the time. When I went to check, they were fast asleep, they hadn't moved. Now, the only way they could have come in that, I don't want to call spiritual, I don't believe in spiritual, but the way they came into my room, they must have been connected by the subconscious. And then I began to think the subconscious works 24/7. So it could have been either myself or my wife or my children. I didn't know who was to blame for who was the source of this incident.
Well, just say I don't know.
Then I began to think, sorry?
Just say I don't know.
Well, that isn't how.
Yes, it does.
We think.
Oh no, it does, Derek. I think that is not only the intellectually honest, but that is the admirable position to take. It helps because it shows that it's okay not to know. If you reach for an answer without having good reason, what you're doing is you're propping up a society that thinks that it's better to have an answer and be wrong than say I don't know and be honest.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know at the time.
Perfect. Do you know now?
Years of research. Sorry?
No, it's okay. Do you know now?
I've got a very good idea, yeah.
Okay, what do you think? What is your good idea?
Well, like I say, they were connected perhaps by the subconscious because they were asleep. There's no other way. But then I didn't know if we were all connected, because the subconscious works 24/7. So we could have all been connected. Expand on that, and all life can be connected.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, Derek.
No,
that doesn't make any sense. My subconscious.
Let me finish.
Well, hold on. I think we need to put a pin in this, because Derek,
go on.
Your subconscious lives in your brain. My subconscious lives in mine. There is not a measurable link between my subconscious and anyone else's, because it is a function of a brain. And because of that, while it sounds very flowery, I don't think that has anything to do with reality. I think it sounds nice, but until we can show that there's a connection between my subconscious and yours, then that is not a possible explanation. It's not probable because it's not possible. You need to show that it's possible. So I think that if you want to appeal to the mystery of the subconscious to explain the mystery of your experience, you've just stacked on two more things that need explanation. You have not actually explained one with the other.
What two of them? Two things, you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Now you have the experience that you can't explain. And on top of that, you're using subconscious, which still needs explanation, to explain it. But now you have two things. Now you need to explain subconscious and your experience. It doesn't help.
Well, hibernation and migration,
what?
Selective instincts of life itself. When life first started, evidence suggests it's a dormant life. Now, the dormant life would have had to been connected to the elements that help it to survive.
What? Hold on. Now it sounds like word salad. We're going to go for just a bit more because we have a couple more callers we want to talk to. But you're saying your subconscious is dormant and is connected with the elements. Now you've added dormancy and non-dormancy. Yeah. Can a subconscious be dormant? And then on top of that, what the hell are the elements? Now you've added more and more stuff that needs explanation. Stop appealing to things that need an explanation to explain things you're just stacking it. Get back to the story. The story is that you experienced something. You and your wife both experienced something that you can't explain, correct?
Yeah.
Cool.
But
now,
why two children? Why the two children? Why was it two children? Why did they both walk that night?
So
they must have been connected, mustn't they?
No.
See,
Derek.
Let's talk for a minute about those evolutionary instincts that we have. One of those instincts is the desire to find correlation between things and to find reasons for things, because it helped us survive, and it still does. That's the reason we have science, is because we have the instinct to say, ooh, we need to figure out why this happened. Well, what could cause it? And then we go looking, and that's a good instinct to have, but by itself, it doesn't really help us very much if we don't have a place to go with it. So I understand that that your instinct, your desire here is to find a reason why it was two kids and why you guys saw these two kids and, you know, how it could happen. Those are all good things to want to know. But sometimes we come up against that wall where it's just, we can't figure it out. We don't know. We don't need an answer every time. Right. And sometimes the best answer we can give is, I don't have an answer, because it's the honest thing to say.
And on top of that, I just want to build on that. And that is, so I forget his first name, but Skinner, he was a psychologist.
Yeah.
And what he did is these different experiments on the way thinking happens, the way it occurs. And so just a quick example, he had pigeons, right? And randomly would distribute food to the pigeons. But the pigeons didn't know why the food was coming in. And so because of that, they became superstitious. Mm-hmm. And so you'd have birds doing really weird things like spinning around 3 times and then pecking the floor, because that's what they were doing last time and they got food. It's the same reason why people wear their lucky socks or have, you know, a lucky something else, right? They're trying to do exactly as V said. They're pattern-seeking machines. It's what we do.
Yeah.
You need to show that there's a that there's a causal link, and you're assuming that there is. Now, I would say until you can show there's a causal link, then no, don't assume that there is.
Just let me put something to you. You know, we have to think. That's how science works. The total energy of a system, which includes the sum of kinetic energies, is proportional to its potential energy function. So an energy system has to have a limit. Is that correct? This ensures that the balancing nature is always serving its purpose, like any other energy system. If evolution was a one energy system, instead of all these different pockets of energy, which we put
apples and oranges,
a diversity of life.
Derek, evolution is not an energy system. That's apples and oranges.
We don't know that.
Actually, we do. We do. No, we do, Derek. Evolution is the description of allele frequency over time in generations, and how the change in allele frequency affects that species over time. Energy is a thing we measure, right? We can talk about maybe the water cycle. We can talk about the way that magma moves the tectonic plates of the planet, right? Those things are not evolution.
No, let's take a star. A normal star over many years will support itself against its gravity by thin pressure.
Derek, do you understand that you're bringing in so many things? There's no way for us to address them all. You want to bring in stars when you talked about your experience. You also wanted to talk about evolution and energy systems. You wanted to talk about dormancy, and you wanted to talk about a collective subconscious. All of those things are different topics. None of them hold explanatory power.
No, Eric, I'm not bringing in stars. I'm bringing in a pattern of energy. Yeah, energy has a pattern that's universal. It works on stars. It works on it works on an individual human being. It's a universal system.
Derek, it sounds, can I tell you what it sounds like to me? It sounds like you have done a lot of research trying to figure out what happened back in, did you say in the 60s? You've had a lot of time to do a lot of different research and come up with different theories, and that's great. You should always be doing research. You should always be asking questions and going to the right sources to find answers. Some things we just don't have answers for yet, and that's okay. So one thing I would suggest maybe doing is maybe writing all of this down in a way that is very helpful for somebody who hasn't done the research to understand. Because for us, for you, it might all be connected, energy and evolution and ghosts and all of this. We don't understand those connections. And it's really hard to do all of that in one call, especially if you're just kind of throwing it out there. So one thing you could do is either write it all down and call back, or what you could do is get on our Facebook group and actually write it out in a post and then have other people comment on it with you and have a conversation.
That's a great idea.
It might be better written out than it is in a conversation, because it sounds like you've done a lot of thinking and you want to show the research that you've done. You should do that, but I think the Facebook group is a better way to go.
I have written it out. I've also written a novel, a fictional novel, using this as a basis for a story, you know. Anyway, thank you for listening. I was going to bring up a lot, really.
Okay.